It was a rainy Sunday afternoon, the kind of day that makes you want to stay indoors, wrapped in a blanket with a cup of tea. My father and I were sitting in the living room, the sound of the rain tapping against the windows filling the silence. I had been thinking about something for a while, something that had been bothering me, and I finally decided to bring it up. "Papa," I began hesitantly, "why don't we have money like some of the other families? Why is it always so hard for us?" My father looked at me, his expression a mix of surprise and sadness. He sighed deeply, running a hand through his graying hair. "It's a long story, Beta," he said, his voice heavy with regret, "and it's not an easy one to tell." I waited, sensing that he was about to share something important. "When I was young," he began, "I didn't understand the value of money. I thought it was something that would always come easily, that I didn't need to worry about it. I was careless, reckless even. I spent money on things that didn't matter. Expensive clothes, fancy gadgets, nights out with friends. I thought I was living the good life, but in reality, I was just wasting what little I had." He paused, his eyes distant, as if he were reliving those days. "I remember one time I spent an entire month's salary on a new stereo system. It was the latest model, and I thought it would make me happy. But within a few weeks, the novelty wore off, and I was left with nothing but regret. That money could have been saved, invested, or used to pay off debts, but instead, I wasted it." I listened intently, trying to picture my father as a young man, carefree and irresponsible. It was hard to imagine, given the disciplined and hard-working man I knew him to be now. "Then," he continued, "there were the bad investments. I thought I could get rich quick, so I put money into schemes that promised high returns, but were nothing more than scams. I lost thousands, money that could have been used to build a better future for our family. I was naive, and I paid the price for it." He turned to me, his eyes filled with regret. "I don't want you to make the same mistakes I did, Beta. Money is important, not because it buys things, but because it gives you security, freedom, and the ability to take care of those you love. It's not about being rich, it's about being wise." His words resonated deeply with me. I thought about how I often spent money on things I didn't need, how I took for granted the sacrifices my parents made to provide for us. "Papa," I said, "I think I understand what you're saying, but how do I make sure I don't waste money like you did?" He smiled, placing a hand on my shoulder. "It's simple, Beta. Be mindful of how you spend your money. Save a portion of what you earn, no matter how small. Invest in things that will grow in value over time, like education or a home. And most importantly, don't let the desire for instant gratification lead you astray. Think about the future, about the kind of life you want to build." As the rain continued to fall outside, I felt a newfound sense of responsibility. My father's words had opened my eyes to the value of money, to the importance of using it wisely. But he wasn't finished. He leaned forward, his voice taking on a more serious tone. "Let me tell you something else, Beta. When I was in my 30s, I realized that I had nothing to show for all the years I had worked. No savings, no investments, no security. It was a wake-up call, but by then, it was almost too late. I had to start from scratch, and it was hard, really hard. That's why I don't want you to make the same mistakes I did. I want you to have a better life, a life where you don't have to worry about money all the time." I could hear the regret in his voice, and it made my heart ache. "Papa, you've done so much for us. You've worked so hard to provide for our family. Isn't that something to be proud of?" He nodded, but his eyes were still clouded with what-ifs. "Yes, I'm proud of what I've done for our family, but I can't help but wonder what else I could have achieved if I had used my money more wisely. If I had saved, invested, and planned for the future, maybe things would have been different." He looked at me, his gaze intense. "That's why I'm telling you this, Beta. Don't wait for the right time to start managing your money. The right time is now. If you have a dream, save for it. If you have a goal, invest in it. Don't let carelessness or greed hold you back. Money doesn't grow on trees, but with the right mindset, you can make it work for you." I felt a lump in my throat as his words sank in. I thought about my own habits, how I often spent money on things I didn't need, how I took for granted the sacrifices my parents made to provide for us. "Papa," I said, my voice trembling slightly, "I promise I'll do better. I'll stop wasting money and start saving and investing. I won't let carelessness or greed hold me back." He smiled, his eyes shining with pride. "That's all I ask, Beta. Remember, wasting money is a shame, but using it wisely is a gift to yourself and to the world." As we sat there in the quiet of the rainy afternoon, I made a silent promise to myself. I would no longer take money for granted. I would save, invest, and plan for the future. I would chase my dreams, cherish my loved ones, and live each day with intention. But my father wasn't done yet. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, worn notebook. "This," he said, handing it to me, "is something I started when I realized I needed to change. It's a budget planner, a record of my expenses, savings, and investments. I didn't achieve everything I wanted, but maybe you can." I opened the notebook, my fingers tracing the faded ink. The pages were filled with numbers, plans, and dreams, some big, some small, but all of them meaningful. "Papa?" I said, my voice filled with emotion. "Thank you. I'll make sure these dreams don't go to waste." He nodded, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I know you will, Beta, and remember, no matter what happens, I'm proud of you." As the rain continued to fall outside, I felt a deep sense of gratitude. My father's honesty, his willingness to share his regrets, had given me a priceless gift, the wisdom to value money and the courage to chase my dreams. And in that moment, I realized that my father's greatest legacy wasn't his hard work or his sacrifices. It was the lessons he taught me, the love he showed me, and the hope he instilled in me for a brighter future. Money, after all, is just a tool. But with the wisdom of those who came before us, we can make sure we use it wisely. And that, I thought, is the true meaning of life.